Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. And it looks like the very unfunny comedian from South Africa, Trevor Noah, who replaced Jon Stewart on their TV show. They're on Comedy Central. It is now leaving, and it's hilarious because they have all of these audience for The Daily Show, right? They all come in. And they all have these masks and they sit there and they look like the NPC. That's what they are. They're still masking up. And that in that studio, I'm sure you gotta get your 16 boosters to make sure you're allowed to come in and take part in the unfunny comedy of Trevor Noah, as they have the big sign and behind in front of the audience saying clap, and they're like, yeah, like that, because it's absolutely unfunny and they have to force them to clap because that's how I'm funny. This anyway, he's going away. He's doing his late night tour show last night, and just the look of this audience was just hilarious. While I was looking, I was like, oh my gosh, they are to be my see all the time on the internet. So let's dive into what we have here. It says to funny Trevor Noah says goodbye to the entire audience of humorless leftists in mask, and he cries. Of course he does. He's a sweet dude, soy man. Pete Comedy. As Cassandra Fairbanks reported earlier today, Trevor Noah cried as he signed off for the last time as host as The Daily Show. Noah was a complete flop. His audience dwindled and was half that of his press center. He lectured. His lecturing was a bore and his leftist arguments held no weight, and like other leftist community, and he forgot he was hired to make people laugh. The joke was on them, and his final farewell trebled. Noah cried as he said goodbye to his leftist fans. When the camera flashed to the audience, the leftists were all matched up like wild pit bulls. It was a perfect ending to a failed career. We will truly miss all of the lectures from this South African. Look at this look on the mask. Look at all those people, all with the boosters, and the boosters as a guide cry. Oh, my soil. My jokes. My corporate jokes aren't no funny. No more. Oh, good. Written's good, or as that picture just speaks volumes right there. That unfunny man who was not well, I'm sure he leans that way anyway, not to only tell jokes about one section of the country, because their side is so perfect. There is no humor in it. So they gotta continue to poke fun at the other side. It's a leftist company comedy show that are comedy that pass itself off as a new show as well. Absolutely glad that this guy's gone. Unfunny, just like Jon Stewart. I tend to stay in Jon Stewart either over on a Daily Show, but in either case, goodbye coach. Hopefully, you know what, I really feel bad for him. Because dude, rich, who cares? I just don't want to ever see him on television again. That'd be fantastic if that what happened. But I'm sure he will fail upwards and he will be on some other comedy show. Late night show, who knows, whatever. Anyway, I just thought was hilarious. A dude was crying as he was leaving his mask audience. And this is some big news, while we are creating a brand new, wonderful world, a world in which people like Sam Britton can be employed by the federal government, and we can all pretend that everything is totally normal. When a person who engages in puppy play demonstrations is the head of the dispensation of nuclear waste in the United States. Well, sad story for Sam Britton, who, by the way, it turns out may in fact be one of the world's worst liars. I mean, aside from the fact that this human male pretends that he is a gender non-binary person who dresses in women's clothing while wearing a beard and engaging in puppy play publicly. Not embarrassing at all, for the United States, by the way, perfectly normal behavior, totally normal. Now, it turns out that this human is a couple of things about this particular human. This particular human one declared that he was a victim of conversion therapy, but it's now turning out that it was crap, that he can't name the person who actually attempted to quote-unquote convert him. He refuses to name the organization. Even people in the gay community are looking at Sam Britton going on, we have no evidence that what you're saying is true. It also turns out that this human who claims that he is non-gender binary, so ladies have it. Apparently, Sam Britton. He just has a habit of stealing other people's luggage. So there's another story about this person, according to the New York Post, a Biden Energy Department official, who allegedly stole a woman's suitcase from a Minneapolis airport in September. He has been accused of another luggage heist, the Las Vegas airport. Oh no. As I said before, when you saw the original story, it's pretty clear this person is a habitual, crazy person who steals people's luggage routinely. Have you ever accidentally stole somebody's luggage and did not return it? And then more people's clothes out of it? Is that a thing that you normally do? like felony warrants on grand larceny. Charges was issued for Sam Britton, the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Spent Fuel and Waste, his position at the Department of Energy's Office of Nuclear Energy. Brendan, who made history as one of the federal government's first gender-fluid officials, which is like saying made history as one of the federal government's first human octopi. There is no such thing as a gender-fluid individual. That does not exist. Gender-fluid is a made-up term for people who act in a quote-unquote non-stereotypical ways, but he is still a human male. He is not gender-fluid. He's just a very confused human. Apparently, Sam Britton allegedly sold luggage from another traveler at Harry Reid International Airport in Vegas on an unknown date, according to the outlet. Details about the alleged theft are scarce, but 8 News now stated that Britton, 35, was charged with grand larceny for the value between $1,205,000. The energy official, who uses they/them pronouns, reportedly has sticky fingers for suitcases. Are sticky octopi tentacles unclear? Britton was placed on leave from the Department of Energy after they were charged with I do love our media, because they've decided to engage in this widespread game of pretending, along with delusions, that you can be plural, that a person who's obviously not "I'm sorry, this guy's a nut" is not just because there's a person who wanders around wearing women's clothing in public while also wearing a beard and lipstick, but also because this person has engaged in puppy play demonstrations in front of other humans. And also because this person is stealing luggage, but we have to pretend that it is perfectly sane and rational for everyone to pretend along with this human that he is actually multiple humans called Batum. This will never stop being amusing to me, that our media are so invested in objective truth, refuse to say things that are objectively verifiable like it's a dude. Anyway, Britton was placed on leave from the Department of Energy after they were charged with felony. That both of them are charged with felony theft for reportedly snatching a woman's Vera Bradley suitcase from baggage claim at the Minneapolis-St. Paul. According to court documents, the suitcase and the women's belongings inside it were valued at $2,300 for an initially denied taking the luggage, later claimed they mistook it for their own baggage claim despite never having checked a bag for the flight. And it's a bad defense. You're gonna steal somebody else's suitcase, at the very least ship yourself an empty suitcase and pretend that you confused it. Genius working over here. They allegedly removed the suitcase's ID tag after plucking it from the luggage carousel. Video surveillance showed apparently Britton still has not stepped down. So it will be amusing to watch the Biden administration have to fire this particular human being. Things are going well at the federal government level. We have set up such amazing moral standards for ourselves and in destroying all of the fundamental basis of Western civilization. I'm sure that the rest of the superstructure it'll be absolutely fine. Meanwhile, speaking of people who are fundamentally dedicated to destroying the superstructure of Western civilization, John Kerry Draw is the climate envoy for the United States of America on behalf of Giovanni and John Kerry. He's apparently in negotiations with Joe Biden should continue in this job where he gets to fly on a private jet from place to place, jabbering about the climate while emitting more carbon than pretty much any human being on Earth. Not just from his jet but also from his face, which is collapsing like a mudslide in the Hollywood Hills. Hey, John Kerry. He was out there suggesting that what we really need is global redistribution of income in order to fix climate change, so he says the taxpayers should be tapped to pay for the climate transition. Not him when he's very rich, but because he married into wealth, he married the Heinz ketchup era. So that helps Teresa Heinz Kerry. But anyway, he says the taxpayers should pay? Everyone listen to this. Is there going to have to be U.S. taxpayer money that helps the United States? Presumably, the United States is going to have to be one of the nations that contributes great. If there were some, the United States of America proudly is the largest humanitarian donor in the world. Yes, we're the largest economy in the world, $21–22 trillion economy. The next closest us is China, 16 or so trillion. We have to step up to lead. Okay folks. We have to step up to lead by spending all of one of my favorite things about the people who insist that we have to pay for all the externalities of climate change is that we already have capitalism has enriched people at the bottom end of the spectrum enormously. And half of the world has been raised out of abject poverty since 1980. That is due to free trade and capitalism, powered by carbon-based fossil fuels. And now, the people who generated all that wealth are being called upon to double dip, essentially to pay for quote-unquote climate redistribution. Like, why? Seriously. Why is this a global worldwide problem? China ain't gonna pay for it. Anyone gonna pay for it? I do love the idea from the left that if we just start handing out money, everybody else will suddenly start handing out money as well. This is a pledge drive for NPR. That is not the way any of this works. That's not how international relations work. John Kerry, however, has been disappointed by the war in Ukraine, by Russia's war in Ukraine, not because of the Russian invasion so much more because, the fact that it totally exposed that the entire Western economy is based on non-green energy, which is embarrassing for him. Everyone listen to this. To get to nitty-gritty, but obviously, Russia is, a contributor on the methane side in the Ukraine war, and all those while largest, obviously, there's a huge amount of environmental destruction taking place in the war, and that is setting us back in the illegality and the depravity of what has been taking place there. So nothing that I say is meant to somehow, be a comparison to that process. That said, Ukraine has altered the dynamics of the transition that we were really ramping up to out of Glasgow. Well, that's, clearly, this is a big problem right here. Meanwhile, the Democrats are trying to blame oil companies for lack of climate change for lack of green energy. A report was issued on Friday from the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, saying major oil and gas companies have little intention of taking concrete actions to transition away from fossil fuels. Oh, you mean the people who make their money professionally from drilling for fossil fuels aren't going to transition away from that? I am shocked and appalled. The committee said it found Shell, Chevron, BP, and the American Petroleum Institute all made major investments in projects that would, quote, protect and entrench the use of fossil fuels. Long past the timeline, scientists say it would be safe to prevent catastrophic climate change. Despite making climate pledges, Ro Khanna of California and Democrats, he says they're basically saying we're going to increase production, we're going to increase emissions. We're also going to be able to claim being this clean tech company, this green company, because we can take symbolic actions and make it look like we're in the climate fight. The cynicism was breathtaking, and it's been a successful PR strategy. Again, I'm confused. If you would like to generate green energy, why don't you found some companies that actually make efficient green energy? Alright, thanks for being here, folks. Please receive a big hug from all of us. Let me know down below